Black magic.
You got to know, got to show, it's time to roll. So just tell me what you want to hear. Tell me what you want, so just tell me what you want to hear.
Welcome back to another edition of Ratg TV. It's your boy Zeus here with you. And folks, we have got a very exciting show here for you. We have got a nail biter, if you will, and it will not take any detective skills on your part to find out how great this is, as we have got author of Niagara Falls Into the Darkness, my friend and yours, Mr. Frank Thomas Croisdale. How you doing, Frank?
Ryan, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great, buddy. Thanks so much for coming on the show and coming to talk about your book.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I'm happy to do this. And first off, I guess we should get it out of the way. You and I go back a little bit.
We do, yes. There it is, the Falls View Hilton. We've worked, I've been there 20 years as of this summer.
20 years.
20, yeah, the big 20. So they owe me a watch or something when I go back.
They owe you a watch or a nice frozen yogurt.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. But yeah, you and I worked there for how many years did we work together? It was quite a few.
Geez, I was there probably about, I want to say 8 years.
Okay.
I feel like I was there a few years on the door and then a couple years as valet, as the doorman. So
right.
Or a bellman, which was, good times.
Wonderful place to work, and
some great owners.
Phenomenal. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's why I've been there 20 years. They treat me like family, and I appreciate it so much. And fingers crossed that, sometime this year we start to look back to some normalcy, open the borders, and get tourists back into Niagara Falls.
Exactly. Now, speaking of Niagara Falls,
yes,
your book, this is where it takes place. Tell us a little bit about Niagara Falls Into the Darkness.
Well, a few things. When I got the idea for the book, let me give you a thumbnail, and you've got the back cover up there. But basically, what happens in the book is there's a serial killer, and he's taking lives in both sides of the border, Niagara Falls, Ontario, Niagara Falls, New York. And there's a newspaper editor and a female police detective who are receiving clues from him, and they're trying to unravel, who he is, figure out who he is, what his motivations are, stop him before he kills again. Hopefully the book takes someone on a roller coaster ride, and they enjoy following along with this person. So that's kind of a thumbnail sketch about what the book's about. But when I set out to write the book, I had a few objectives in mind.
Okay.
First and foremost is I wanted it to be a page-turning story. I wanted it to be a crime thriller where, and I'm sure most people out there that are watching have read a crime thriller at one time or another. And good crime thrillers, you can't put it down. You're reading late at night, you're exhausted, but I just got to start this next chapter, and you go forward. So I wanted it to be that, and I feel comfortable and confident this time that I achieved that because of all the tremendous praise that the book has received, and the feedback and the ratings. But there was a couple of other things that were a little trickier that I wanted to have. One is I wanted my villain, who is a guy who calls himself Law, L-A-W. He's macabre, he's twisted, he's highly intelligent, but he's highly dangerous. But I wanted him to have something deeper to his character beyond the fact that he's just unhinged. There's a lot of unhinged characters that have been written, brought to the written page and brought to television and movies. So I wanted him to have something deeper. And in this case, he's got issues with how Niagara Falls has been, the cities that surround the falls themselves, how they have, in his mind, neglected to protect the falls themselves. and he's got some issues with some of the people in tourism and what they've done. He's got issues with Clifton Hill. He thinks that's a little too glitzy and over the top for his taste, being
What,
so close to this.
now, I don't know if this is a
world wonder.
spoiler or not,
Yes.
but is Law really the reincarnated spirit of Nikola Tesla?
No, he's not. He's not. Although, when one of the things that I did with the book was I layered in some of the history. And Law sort of brings it when he writes his manifesto and some of the clues that he sends. He talks about some of this history of the falls, and Tesla, being someone who gets a bit of a mention in there. So I wanted that, and then one of the biggest issues that Law has is, and this pertains more to the Niagara Falls, New York side of the falls. But he has a great issue with all of the chemical dumping that happened, Love Canal, and the factories that put hundreds of thousands of tons of pollutants into the ground, and he thinks that that's really a horrible injustice, especially when you have this world wonder here. So I had that, and then the third thing that was very important to me was I wanted the story to hold up. Whether you had ever been to Niagara Falls, whether you're from here, whether you know anything about it or not. I read people like James Grisham, and Grisham, if you read a lot of his stuff, he sets it in Washington, D.C. and Virginia, Northern Virginia, and you don't have to be from there or have been there to appreciate his stories. But for the people who are from here, I wanted, on a real sub-level of this book, the entire book to be a love letter to Niagara Falls on both sides of the border. And so, like, the settings that a lot of the scenes take place in, if you're from here, these places. There's a scene on Clifton Hill. There's a scene in Niagara on the Lake.
Right.
There's a scene, at the American side, at the falls itself. There's scenes in some of the top restaurants of the area. So the Skyline Tower sort of kicks it all off, and there's a big cataclysmic thing that happens right at the beginning of the book as Law's up in the skyline. So I wanted people to be able to, for who are from the area, to really be able to know these places and get something out of it, maybe that someone who isn't from the area would not get. And what I thought about when I was writing it was, there's a famous story when the Beatles were working on the Sgt. Pepper album, and John Lennon wrote the song "The Being for Mr. Kite," which is
Right.
If you know that
The
story,
benefit of Mr. Kite.
Yeah, right. He was looking at a circus poster,
Right.
and when they were working on the instrumentation for that song, he said to George Martin, who was the producer and put a lot of their instrumentation together, he said, "I want people to be able to smell the sawdust of the circus. I want to put that." And when you hear that song, just the underlying music is so, you can feel the merry-go-round going on. You can hear the circus. So I wanted to do that for Niagara Falls. I want, when people are reading some of these scenes, I want them to think, geez, I've been there. I know that place. I know what it smells like to walk in there. I know what the air tastes like in there. And I wanted them to have that experience. So hopefully I've been able to pull all of those things off.
So obviously there's a lot of the hometown love, and authors, they often say, write about what you know and what you're familiar with.
Yeah.
That makes me wonder, what made you want to settle on this genre?
Well, it's funny. I didn't set off to write this genre. I just, so people know my background, aside from being the tourism director at the Hilton for 20 years, I've been a writer. And
So, as Hook says there, sorry, you get a free engraved syringe for your vaccine.
Way to go, Hook. Aside from working at Hilton all these years and being the tourism director, I've been a writer for a long time, and for 13 years, I was a featured columnist for the Niagara Falls Reporter, which is the weekly in Niagara Falls, New York. And in 2004, I wrote a book called Buffalo Soul Lifters, which is local bestseller, and all the stories were set in Western New York and Southern Ontario, and I sort of described that book as chicken soup for the soul. but the local edition, here. So that's something else you can go find on Amazon. It's called Buffalo Soul Lifters. So this obviously is a great departure to go from feel good stories to writing about a deranged serial killer. But the story kind of just popped into my head. I don't want to say fully formed, because as an author you flesh things out. But
Mhm.
even when I wrote newspaper columns for all those years, I always had a methodology that I followed, which was I wouldn't even begin writing until I had a beginning and an end. I figured you could meander through the middle, but if you don't know where it's going to end, that's how people get writer's block. And
Right.
knock on wood, I've never suffered from writer's block because I always have the ending before I begin. So with this book, I had this beginning that I talked about that happens in the Skyline Tower with a helicopter, a fiery helicopter crash
Oh,
that
damn.
that takes Hollywood's leading lady. And then I had the ending. I knew the book has a great twist, and I hope that I fool people until the very end, because that was my intent. So I had that, and then I just sort of threw myself into it. So I don't know if I can answer your question any better than that, Ryan. Other than that, the idea just sort of came to me with a beginning and an ending, and so I felt compelled to explore the middle.
No, I think that's great. I was expecting you to say, "Well, I had some, some experience in murdering people." Where I was going to say, "Well, hey, now I know why you've lasted so long at the Hilton."
I think when I wrote it, I scared my wife. She was one of my first beta readers, and she's like, I can't believe you, that you had this idea. And I said, well, listen, again, it's I hope that when people experience it, they'll realize that. First of all, if you're going to write a villain, this was my thought. When I was going through it, if you're going to write a villain, go big or go home. Right?
Right.
I mean, like, I decided not to hold back with Law. Right? Law's unhinged, and he's diabolical, and he's twisted. And so I wanted that to come out. I don't want people to read the villain character and say, the guy was kind of
One dimensional or something.
yeah, he was just milquetoast here. What do I care about that guy for? So I decided to go heavy with that. But then again, I wanted to have these deeper layers into it, and I think that I pulled it off okay.
Well, by the sounds of it, I think you have, and I'm sure by the sounds of the way you said that your wife received it, she thinks you have as well. Although she,
Yeah, there was a 2-week restraining order after she read it, but once we cleared through that, we were
yeah, yeah,
good.
you've been sleeping on the couch while she sleeps in the bedroom
Yes,
with the door locked. I get it.
it's okay now. Yeah.
Now you spoke of James Patterson and some other authors like that.
Yeah.
What other influences did you have? Like, what type of like TV shows and movies were you into? Was it along the same line, or?
Well, I don't know. I'm eclectic, man. I read a lot. I read a
Mm,
lot of different type of authors, and I watch a lot of different types of television. And I think that creates a sort of a cauldron of experiences to draw on. But I mean, like in this genre, I mean, aside from Patterson, who I think is maybe the best at it, I
mm,
borrowed from Patterson in this too. He uses a technique that I love, and so I decided to do it, use it with this book, which is he writes short, hard hitting chapters. And I don't know, I've always felt that there's something psychologically pleasing when you're reading a book to having shorter chapters. I don't know, like if
yeah,
anybody
no,
that's
I
like me,
agree.
but like some authors where like their chapters are 75 pages, and you kind of look and you're like, I just want to get to like a bookmark here and take a little break, but it's going to go on forever. And so I kind of like that short, hard hitting
Hmm.
um, aspect of it. And then the other thing that Patterson does, which I did here, was he writes both his protagonist and his antagonist in the first person. And so I did that as well. And that's, I know when I first started writing it, I remember saying to my wife before she knew what it was about, I said, I'm really enjoying writing the antagonist here, this Law. You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking forward to when his chapters roll around as to really
Right.
push the story forward. But my protagonist, Mick O'Malley, is my newspaper editor. I had ultimately had a lot of fun writing him as well, because a tough guy and an interesting guy, and I try to take his character through a redemption arc here as well,
Okay.
throughout the story. So, but to get back to your question, I like people like Dean Koontz,
Right.
his sort of stuff, and then when you look at like television and that sort of stuff. Dexter is like to me the greatest in this genre, right? I mean, what a brilliant idea to have a serial killer who only kills bad people, because that just sets you up right in the beginning. And again, I think Law's got a little bit of that here, in that you when you read this, you may say, "Geez, this guy's nuts," but I tend to agree with some of his thoughts here. We do need to be a little more vigilant about protecting these 12,000-year waterfalls that we have
Right.
here, and so I tried to bring that to it.
Wow. Couple things I want to go on there. One, have you heard about the Dexter revival? They're
I
having
have, and I'm
season.
excited about that.
Yeah.
And
I still haven't
I've got
seen
to
the
go
last
back
season.
because, yeah, and I've got to go back and watch, because I religiously watched that show, but I didn't watch beyond the John Lithgow season, because I thought that though the last two episodes of that season were the single two greatest episodes of dramatic television I've ever watched. They were so brilliantly written, and when that twist comes at the end,
With Rita.
yeah, and you have to go, and then you have to go back to that penultimate episode of that season, and you watch that scene between him and Dexter, and you realize they were talking about something completely different than you thought they were, and the writing was brilliant.
Right.
So, like in that genre, that to me, that's the gold standard.
Yeah.
I'm really excited that it's back.
I'm with you. I still haven't seen the last season. I know what happens in the last season, just because it's been so long. You
Sure,
see
yeah.
spoilers, right? But yeah, I'm excited for that as well. Now, for Law, what kind of you said that your protagonist O'Malley
Yeah,
is on a redemption arc.
yeah.
Well, what about Law? Is Law on a redemption arc in his own mind as well?
No, yes and no. Yeah, he's in his mind, he's redeeming himself because he feels like he had spent most of his life. He's a 50-ish aged character, and he feels like he spent most of his life watching the city around him decay and feeling like he should have done more about it. So now
Right.
he's taking action, literal action. So there's that, but he's also fatalistic. He knows from the beginning that this thing's going to have an end game, and he might not come out of it, and he's resigned to that. But that makes him especially dangerous.
Little nihilism there.
Yeah, he has no fear of dying. He's prepared to martyr himself for his cause.
Wow. Well, now I know this is going to seem a little strange,
Okay.
but I've heard that we actually have an artist rendition of Law already,
Okay.
and he was drawn to spec. Is this correct?
Let's see. There he is.
Played by Clanny, from what I've heard. Clanny's I'm so sorry. That was just purely for the Ratg fans.
That's okay. You clued me in on Clanny, and I'm glad that he was able to make an appearance. When I write my next novel, I'll try to work Clanny in.
Try to get Clanny in there.
And speaking of, can I tell you too that
of course.
Well, we speak of cameos in books. The Hook, who posted here earlier during the thing, the Hook makes a cameo in this book.
Oh, amazing!
So if you're a fan of the Hook, and you should be, and
I was gonna say,
and you should be reading, if you're a comic book fan, fan of graphic novels and those sorts of things, you should be reading his novel right now. Is Into the Dark. It's amazing. But when I have a scene that takes place at the Hilton that we started off the show with, and I decided I needed a bellman in this scene, and so I worked the Hook in. And and he's so he makes a nice cameo in the book, and then he also makes an appearance in the praise section that leads into the book. So if you're a Hook fan, as I said in the acknowledgments to the book, everything else in the book was fictitious, but the Hook is as real as you and me. And so Robert the Hook Hookie is in Niagara Falls Into Darkness.
The Hook is one of the greatest people I've met. He's He is never, there's never a time where I've talked to Hook and he hasn't said something that was quotable.
He's
It should have been on the
quotable.
fortune cookie or
He's quotable. He's got an incredibly funny, dry sense of humor that I bond with.
Mhm.
He's got an encyclopedic knowledge of so many different subjects.
He's
Um,
quick.
I think he's mellowed a bit in his old age. He was a bit more sarcastic when I first met him when he was younger, and
Yeah.
he's grown out of that a little bit. He's ever evolving, which is a great thing. But I love him. I mean, he's just one of my very best
Yeah.
friends, and when I went through the process of writing this book, he was the first person to read it, and finish it. I mean, he blew it through it faster than my wife did. So he got back to me with his thoughts, which I appreciated. But for me, he's a great sounding board, and someone that I'm able to turn to, and I'm excited. I'm excited for his writing career as well.
For sure.
I know that he's got such a creative mind, and in his genre, he's so good at it. So, speaking of the superhero genre, by the way, I just want to show I'm drinking out of an official 1976 Pepsi superhero glass. Today I'm rocking the Green Lantern. I've got the full collection here, but so
Got some Hal Jordan going there. Well, I'll cheers it with my plain old just nothing.
His glasses are, one of my geek things is I collect these Pepsi glasses. So I've got the entire Looney Tunes collection, which was from '73, and then I've got the entire superhero collection from '76, DC, and then I've got the two holy grails of the thing, which is Mighty Mouse and Space Mouse.
Oh,
and
wow.
They were the rarest because they were evidently only given out at Taco Bell's in California.
Damn.
Whereas the other ones were all over the place.
Everywhere, yeah.
So you can, but
we had the McDonald's. What was it? The Muppets.
Yeah, but those ones and like the things that have come after, what separates these things is these things were made by the Federal Glass Company, and the quality of the glass. I mean, I use them. Other than I don't use Mighty Mouse or Space Mouse because those things are like $400 or $500 a piece. I don't want to take any chance.
Right.
But the other ones, and they just like I mean, these things are like going on 5 decades old, and they're just like they were made yesterday. I mean, it's just, the quality is amazing. So,
for sure. If those were made, say, like in the '90s on,
yeah,
all of that would have peeled off already.
Yeah, they're just. I mean,
the wash.
unless you got them and put them behind plastic, they weren't going to last because they were just so thin glass they would crack and be done.
Right.
But to get back to Niagara Falls into Darkness, so the book currently has 45 reviews on Amazon. On Amazon.com. For some reason on Amazon.ca it's got 37. I can't quite figure out Amazon's method.
Algorithm.
Yeah, their algorithm with that. Like some reviews go on both, and other ones just stay in the country of origin. I can't quite figure out why. But at any rate, the goal is to get to 50, because once you get to 50, then when people buy a book in the same genre, it will recommend the book automatically to them.
Nice.
So I'm hoping that people will, not only read the book and enjoy it, but go review. And as I always tell people, if you love the book, then leave a glowing review. And if you don't like it, just
leave a review anyways.
Just give it 5 stars and then shut your yap,
Exactly, because we all know that's the way it works anyways for a lot of people out there.
That's right. Yeah. Do your thing. But
no, that's great. So getting it through Amazon's the best way for people?
Yeah. It's available on Amazon. If you're in Canada, go to Amazon.ca. If you're in the States, go to Amazon.com. And if you're in any other country, it's in, Amazon. Whatever your country code is. The book's available worldwide on the Amazon platform, and you can buy it as either the lovely hard copy of the book, or you can buy it as part of their Kindle Reader. If you like to read stuff on your tablets or whatever you tend to read on your phone, whatever it may be. And then if anybody, once they reopen the borders and people can cross again, I know that a lot of people from Canada are hip to this super cool little bookstore in Niagara Falls, New York, called the Book Corner, which is on Main Street. It's been there forever, and if you haven't ever been in, you owe it to yourself to go in. The guy who runs this name is Jeff, and he's been a great friend of mine for a long time and great champion of my books. It's got like 3 or 4 levels. The main level is new books, and then the lower and upper levels are used books in every genre and every type. And then Jeff also is a cat lover, so there's 3 or 4 cats that live in the bookstore. So you might just be perusing a book aisle and you look up and there's a cat sleeping, at the end of the aisle.
Yeah, it seems right.
Yeah, but so he's selling copies of it as well. So if you want to get your hands on a local copy, that's another way to do it. But I'm just delighted that people love the book and have responded so well to it. That to me was so very important. I wanted people to really feel good about it. And then I've had so many people say, "Well, are you going to write a sequel to it? We want more of these characters."
Well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
And I think I will, although I've got the next book that I want to write. It's as I mentioned, the beginning and ending. I've got it in my head, and I'll begin that this fall and have it out, by next spring.
Wow.
But it's not going to be a direct sequel to this book. But the Mick O'Malley and the police detective's name is Sally Went. I'm going to have them as minor characters in the book.
So you're making your own contained universe now.
Yeah, my own contained universe, and I'll give you just a thumbnail sketch of the new one, a little idea of what it's going to be about. It's going to be entitled "The Benefactor," and it's going to follow a couple of guys who commit a pretty heinous crime and get arrested for it and go on trial and have basically no chance of getting off on these charges because they're guilty as sin. And a benefactor comes out of the woodwork and hires the very best trial attorney from Buffalo, New York, a guy who's never loses cases, and then hires private detectives to dig up dirt on the victim, and they end up getting this guy off. But there's a reason why the benefactor's done it all. And that I won't go into yet, but
they're just like, oh my God, he's going to tell us the whole story right here.
Yeah, that's all I can say at this point. But I'm excited to write that one.
Well, I'm excited for you as well. Yeah. And folks, we need 10 more reviews. Just 10.
Yeah, 5
more reviews. 5
more reviews.
King Kong Bundy. 5.
People need to go on and review the book, and listen. Also, once we all get called back to work at the Hilton, which I'm hoping will be soon, if anybody's out and about in Niagara Falls, just pop in and see me at the Hilton. I run the tour and concierge desk. I run that department, and I always have signed copies there. So you come in, you see me, I'll sign a copy for you. We'll take a selfie, whatever you want to do, but you can stop in and get a copy of the book and enjoy it that way as well.
And I may be vegan now, but I highly recommend to any of you meat eaters to go check out the Braza upstairs.
Braza, when it's open.
When it reopens.
Yeah, when it reopens. It was it did open last summer, and it was a little different than the buffet part of it had to go away.
Yeah,
so
of course.
They kind of gave people a menu where they would choose the side items and it'd be brought to the table. But that's an amazing experience, and you cannot leave there without a serious case of the meat sweats in a comatose state. But it really is an amazing meal and just a fun experience if you've never done it.
Yes.
And maybe, fingers crossed, Ryan, maybe at some point we'll get to debut that beautiful 5,000 seat theater that is complete at the back end of the Hilton, just waiting for opening night. I mean, it was ready to go.
Just waiting for me to come down there and host my show live from that
show
stage.
And do it, because it was supposed to go last October 2nd, I think, was going to be opening night. And then, this crazy thing called COVID hit. And so we have this beautiful state-of-the-art theater that's going to bring huge acts to Niagara Falls. And so once that goes, it's gonna be something.
And it'll be crazy nonstop because people will be happy to be back. And Hook, it was an absolute honor to serve with you as well. Just fun, honestly. Great sitting beside Hook and just listening to him. Let's be honest. It's great listening to him shit talk customers to their face and them
He
tip them through the ass and treat him like he's the god that he is.
it's a great ability that he has because he's able to. And again, I think it's that sort of deadpan delivery that he has that
So good.
But
It
yeah,
is so
he
good.
said some hilarious things to people. And
And
most
nobody gets
people.
mad.
No, most people would be, they'd have him down to human resources the next day, but not with the hook. They here's $50, put it in your pocket, and we'll see you next year.
Yeah, exactly. So great.
Absolutely
So
true.
that's awesome. Now, we told everybody, and they're seeing it along the bottom there, how to get the book. You just go to Amazon, whatever country you're in, .ca.com.
Yeah, and then keyword, just
.co.
put Niagara Falls into darkness. The
Mm.
book will come up. It'll give you options to buy hard copy or the Kindle Reader copy.
And I just so you know, I do know that there's somebody that will be narrating the Hooks book for Audible, so that person would probably be willing to do yours as well. I'm just
All
saying.
right, you're on. I think we need to make this happen.
I agree. I agree. Just get the book out as many places as we want. That I'm just trying to help you. That's all, really.
Yeah, no, listen, it's greatly appreciated, and again, I hope people will go get their hands on it. It's a guaranteed page turner.
Mm.
Law stays with you for a while after you finish that book. I mean, he's not, he's not a meek and mild character. He's a guy that comes loaded for bear.
Dang,
Let's put it that way.
dang. I feel like we're meeting our new jigsaw.
Yeah, well, I hope. I really wanted him to be memorable, and I think I was able to do that.
Miles says, "What if you can't read? Is there a CD?" We're working on that right now, Miles.
Yeah, Ryan's going to put that together for you,
Yes.
so that you can do that. There's no problem with that. And listen, Miles, there's no shame in buying the book and having someone read it to you.
Very true. Very,
You
very.
know, there's nothing wrong with that. And at the very worst, buy the book. Just walk around with it in public. People will give you more respect. You'll look studious. They'll say, "This guy's cultured. He's reading Croisdale. Look at him."
Right.
Women will gravitate to you. I mean, it's
And,
right across the board. It's good for your image.
and some people will fear you because you're reading a murder mystery book.
Yeah, for sure.
They'll
Absolutely.
be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, this guy might know how to get away with some stuff,"
Absolutely.
and he agrees. now, I want to ask you, Frank. We do this in every show. Usually, when I have an actor on or a wrestler or whatever, I will do my little genie question. Now, I don't give you three, and they are conditionary. They're conditional.
Okay.
Conditionary is a new genie word I just invented as well. It
All right.
works.
I like it.
Thank you very much. But they are conditional. Now, in this wish that I will grant you, if you could write any intellectual property that's already been established, you can take any character and write a
Okay.
story. Which character are you taking, and what's the story you're telling?
Ooh. Well, that's a great question because there's a lot of characters obviously that I love. Um, boy, it's hard for me to narrow that down, but I think the answer that I'm going to give you is one of the writers that inspired me the most. When I was like high school age and really got heavily into writing, was John Updike. I just think Updike was a master of fiction and a master of character creation. And he wrote a trilogy called the Rabbit trilogy with the character Rabbit Angstrom, and it starts in the '60s and goes through the '80s. And he takes that character from his early 20s up until his, I guess, 50s, and then, tragically, he kills the character off at the end of the third
Oh,
book.
wow.
But
Spoilers. No.
spoilers, yeah. Well, listen, the last one was written, I don't know, 30 years ago, so I figure the
The time has
okay.
passed.
Yeah, that's right. The statute of limitations has passed on that one. But since there you go. Look how that's quick. There they are. Sorry, there's four. I forgot. Rabbit and Rich was the last one. amazing books, love them. So I would love to take that rabbit character and resurrect him, and then put him into today's world, and how he would react. And he was, the first one, Rabbit Run. He was a basketball star when he was in high school, and he's a young man, and he marries into a woman whose dad owns a car dealership, and kind of falls into some wealth that he didn't have when he was young, but feels constrained by that life. And then each subsequent book is him a little bit older, kind of dealing with that, about, in his mind, maybe selling out to the wealth a little bit, but trying to still maintain who he thinks he is. And so I would love to take that character in today's world, because the character wasn't around with the internet, and it wasn't around
social
with
media.
social media,
Right.
those sorts of things. And I think it would be a really fun character to see how it would happen today.
I like that idea very, very much so. Miles has an idea for a book, I think, for you to write as well.
All right, Miles, hit me.
It's a self-help book for him, I think. New book on how to get a date at bingo.
I will tell you how to get a date at bingo, Miles. I'm gonna give you I happen to be a bingo expert now.
I got to give you the single camera for this.
I haven't been to bingo in decades, right? But when I was a kid, my great grandmother was a bingo fanatic, and I went to bingo all the time. So here's how you get a date at bingo, because there's three things that's important. Number one, look competent playing multiple boards. Okay, only a piker plays one board, or I think they're all paper these days, right? One special. So you got to get multiple, and you got to be able to play 6 or 8 at a time. Two, you got to have little charms to put around your board, little figurines, and get ones that women would enjoy, unicorns, things along those lines. Number 3 is get up and walk around your chair 3 times for luck. And then tell the girl next to you, I'm doing that to get you the luck. Okay, I will pass the luck on to you. That's why I'm doing it. And then this is the last one, and this is the most important one. And I don't know if this translates, because this is only certain bingo halls. They don't all do it. But at certain bingo halls, when the number 40 is called, the audience instinctively says 40 with like this upward lilt to their voice. So nail that, so that the lady of your affections will feel like, okay, this guy, he's a player. He knows how to win bingo. He knows what happens. And then if you hit the jackpot, by the way, immediately take the wad of cash that they give you and put it right into your pants, inside the underwear, and get out of the bingo hall, because only a fool waves that money around and asks to be robbed after you win. So there you go. That's how you pick up people at the bingo hall.
Life hacks, dating hacks. I mean, you've got it all with this man here, Frank Thomas Croisdale. I mean, what don't you know? A man of experience. My kind of dude.
Yeah,
My kind of dude. Thank you.
It's my pleasure, Miles. I'm here for you, brother.
No, that's some fantastic advice. I think you found yet another calling, and that could
I always wanted, if one night, if they would let me, I want to call bingo.
Well,
I think I would have my own panache to it. I do some jokes between balls, keep it rolling with people, do a few voices here or there, just to keep the night rolling. So if anyone out there has a bingo hall and you'd like a celebrity caller for one night, reach out to Ryan. He'll get a hold of me and I will come do it for you.
There you go. Yeah. So yet another notch in the tool belt of Frank Thomas Croisdale. Yes. There is, like I said, there is nothing this man cannot do or cannot tell you about.
Yes. If I can't do it, I can at least sell it to you as if I can.
Yeah. Well, hey, those who can't teach, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Fantastic. This has been awesome. Is there anything else you got coming up, or anything else you would like to pimp or talk about?
No, I think we've covered all the biggies here. I just want to, again, thank you for having me on. I really hope people go read the book. When you create a work of fiction, it's a funny thing, because for whatever time frame when you carry it around in your head, it's like your baby, right? Like you're the only one who really knows about it, and you have this thought. And then the second that it's published and it's out there, It's sort of like when you have to push your kids out into the world. Now it's out there, it's defenseless. People are either going to love it or hate it. They're going to treat it with love or treat it with disrespect. And you just hope that you've set it up enough so that it'll be good things. So I truly have been delighted with all the great positive feedback. I mean, it means the world to me when someone says like, "Hey, I couldn't put it down." You know, like,
Right.
I mean, to me, that's like, it's like being a major leaguer hitting a home run and have people cheer for you as you go around the bases, right? I mean, that's why you do it. So I hope that people will do that. And I wanted to say before we get off, because we talked a bit tonight about you and the Hook and I and all of us being together. I just want to give a shout out to our late great friend, Rockin' Ronnie Stevens.
For sure.
Ronnie worked at the Bell Desk for many years. We knew him.
One of the greats.
And unfortunately, he had mental health issues, and ended up taking his life. And it's really tough. And I know the Hook carries that heavy in his heart all the time. I know it was part of the inspiration for him writing his book was to kind of work through some of his feelings for it. I carry it too because I was among the small group of people that Ronnie was talking to a lot near the end, and we knew that he was hurting, and we were all trying to help. We just didn't know the right thing to do. So I just wanted to remind anyone who's watching that, mental health issues are real, and if you know anybody who says that they're not feeling right mentally, they're depressed, take it seriously. Try to push them in the right direction. Keep the suicide hotline number handy, because Ronnie was a phenomenal guy. I mean, just like one of the best people I've ever met in my life.
For sure.
Purest heart, kindest guy, and an amazing bass player. Like he was just, he was a savant, when he hit the stage. I mean, the guy was just great, and I miss him and love him. And so I just want to, give him a little shout out and let him know that we never forget you, Ronnie. You're always with us.
Yeah. And that's very well said. He is definitely one of the greats. Big heart, loved everybody. When he was on the stage, I mean, that was his happy place.
Oh, yeah, he was in his zone. Hey, look, I've got so many dogs here, but this is my puppy. We're going to say hello. Let her make her.
Hey,
this is
puppy.
Goldie.
What's up, Goldie? Love the bow tie.
Goldie's just 9 months old, so she's the baby of our house. We've got 3 dogs and 3 cats, so we've got a full household over here of pets. So
the Hook says Ronnie will keep on rocking through all 3 of us and everyone he ever met. Ain't that the truth?
Absolutely. He was. Anyone out there who did not have a chance to meet Ronnie, it's a shame, because he would have impacted your life. But he's gone, but he's never forgotten.
Yeah, one of the greats. Frank, this has been an absolute pleasure. You said it though earlier. We talked about it. I'm going to just put it here. We have it on our Facebook page on Ryan's All Things Geek. If you go to Ryan's All Things Geek, the very first post you will see, we've had it posted there for a while. It's a list of the different suicide hotlines and different kind of helplines across the globe, no matter where you're watching from. Like Frank said, if you're feeling down, I know it's the hardest thing in the world to do, but it's also the easiest thing in the world to do, is just reach out to somebody. There's always that one person, and then you call these people, and they may not have the answers you're looking for, but a lot of people are just there to listen to you, and that's a lot of times that's what you need. It's just someone to vent to. Yeah. So
for sure, and again, don't ever underestimate. It's you can't overstep there. The worst case, someone will say, "Hey, I was just having one down day," and but you'd much rather do that than carry what like the Hook and I do and Ryan does. People who knew Ronnie, and every day we wish we would have just did something more, even though we really were trying and we really did know that he was in a tough way. We just obviously never thought that would have ever been the outcome of it. But at any rate, I appreciate you giving that plug out there. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Always thinking of them, and like we said, thinking of you guys at home as well. Now, folks, if you're looking for something though to brighten the mood a little bit or take your mind off things a little bit, go to Amazon, pick up Niagara Falls Into the Darkness by Frank Thomas Croisdale right here or here.
Fall into darkness. It's the best way to spend a few evenings of your life. So again, and I look forward to anyone who reads it. I look forward to your feedback, your reviews, and again, seriously, if you're around the Hilton, if you're anywhere near the Hilton, stop in and see me. We hope to be back in a few weeks here, back to our normal work schedule. And come on in, I'll sign a copy for you, and we'll keep it going that way.
Amazing. Well, again, thank you so much, Frank, for taking the time out of your day to come and talk about the book. Everybody at home, please go to Amazon, go pick up the book, review this. We only need 5 more reviews.
5 more.
Just get that out there. For Frank, I'm your boy Zeus, and thank you so much to everybody for joining us for another edition of Ratg TV.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye now.